All right, you legends. Back on the bike. I've been off the bike, I think, since around Thanksgiving. I've been doing other things, just busy with other stuff, but not really cycling that much. From time to time, I would. Heading to my first group ride since the time off. We're supposed to start at 8. It's about 10 Celsius. 50, 51. It's gonna warm up to about 19, 20 Celsius by the time we're done. Golden Sage here. So I'm gonna get some clips for you all, but I posted the ride and indicated that the emphasis would be on endurance. But you know how that goes with cyclists, so I won't be following anybody who doesn't want to ride steady, because it's supposed to be a steady ride. Hopefully we'll get a turnout and get some interesting clips for you all.
On this ride, I left Northampton, rolled into the Woodlands, picked up the group at the Alden Village Center. We headed out on Honia Egypt Road into the neighborhood, all the way into Keenan. When we got to Keenan Cut-Off, I went ahead and let the group go. They started surging on the hills. I didn't want to do any anaerobic efforts on this ride. They went through Spring Branch. Paulie Longa had the camera, and so he did some extensive filming after I let them go. I went ahead and did the same route, just at a steadier pace. So it was good to get out there. It was a very pleasant day. We came back through Montgomery after stopping at Taco Corner. There was one official stop, which was Taco Corner. By the time I got back into the Woodlands, it was about probably almost noon or so. I took the long way home just to get a few extra Ks, but I think that you will love the clips today.
All right, there he is.
John Cena coming?
I don't know. Yeah, one thing about the ride I'm going to say, because I noticed that John Z had canceled a ride this week because he said there was no RSVPs. So RSVP is not required for this ride, because if I come here and nobody's here, I'm still riding. Right. You know, that's just the way it works.
Them's the rules.
So because I think it puts a lot of pressure on people to RSVP. We're live, my brother. To RSVP, because what if you change your mind? What if you get up in the morning, you're not feeling great? Whatever. So I don't like the RSVP. Just show up. Yeah, just show up, because whoever's here is the ride, okay? So don't feel pressured. I don't need to. And I'm only going to post rides if I'm going to ride. If I'm not riding, or I'm just going to ask somebody to put something out there.
Good morning, man. How are you?
Post a ride and not show up. I don't think that's cool. So if you don't see a ride posted by 2 p.m. by me, someone else will post something. Because either Mike B or Paul or somebody will put something out there. And that's just the way it is, because no pressure. All right, guys, let's be safe. Let's stay upright. My brother from another mother. Let's roll.
That's Abby.
Yes.
Loretta.
Yeah, I'm recording today.
Javier.
He's recording.
The cameraman.
All right, let's go, guys. Let's go.
Like nothing. Let's go.
So, Paulie Longa has the camera.
What's up, man?
That's John Z.
Good to see you too.
It's time to go. Nobody wants to go. That's I'm rolling. Yeah, we're going. It's about 8:03 or something like that. We're using Paulie Longa's stats from here, because my plan was to just ride steadily. Now, I've been off the bike.
Yeah.
I've been off the bike about almost 2 months and 2 weeks, but not the whole block. That's Laura, that's John.
Jennifer. Good morning. How are you?
We had a great turnout on this ride. That's Jennifer Z. But what I was saying is that I didn't stay off from 2 months and 2 weeks the whole block. I'd ride like 1 or 2 rides here, a ride here, but I wasn't doing the Saturday ride. So I was not doing my standard program, but I was still staying active, you know, doing some activities other than on the bike. But I was spending my time on other things. So I didn't just take off 2 months and 2 weeks and sat on the couch eating chips or whatever, or Cheetos. I was moving around doing stuff. So I'm not in top cycling shape, but I'm in good condition. And the plan here was emphasis being on endurance, but you know, it's a cycling group. I'm not going to slow these guys down. I waved that guy up so he can go. So I've been riding a bit. The week before I did two or three rides.
Hi, brother. How are you doing?
How you going, man?
Hanging in there.
And on this ride, this week I rode like 3 days, and then so I'm doing this ride. But I just wanted to do distance today because I've been doing shorter rides. So if you're going to take off time, let's say because life interferes or other things, try to do something. If you go to the gym, swim, do something.
You may have heard that, but I don't remember it was there. I'm going to require RSC, whoever's here.
As well.
Yeah.
I heard.
Yeah.
I got the mark.
I don't want these guys to feel pressure to say, oh, I'm going to be there and all of that. I'm supposed to ride. So what I was saying is that if you take off a full block of 2 to 3 months, then you need to start even slower. So I had spotty training, but I've been riding my bike from time to time. I'm not in race condition or anything, but I'm in decent condition. So my plan here was to do a steady ride and not do any kind of aerobic stuff on this ride. So because I took off the block of time and still stayed a little active doing other stuff, and you know, during the day when I'm busy, I'm on my feet. You know, I'm not sitting behind a desk. So being active makes a difference. So if you have to take time off from cycling, try to hike or walk or do something, do other stuff. It makes a difference. Then you can get back quicker. So I've been riding before this ride for about 2 weeks consistently, but not the whole week. You know, just a day here, every other day, that kind of stuff. Almost like a rest week. I think that's Richard Lamb on the left there. Is Javier there? That looks like Alejandro. This is a good shot. We got a big group. So it's been a while since I put the group. This is Greg's shot. Going by, that's Doug's brother. So it's good to see all these guys out here. In a few kilometers, you guys will see me. I'm sitting at the front right now, just chatting with John Z. But I will take the lead on Honia Egypt because once we get on Honia Egypt, it's such a big group and people start chatting. And I wanted to kind of get the impetus going so we can get off that road. I literally said that to the guys as I went by to go take the lead, just to get them into the focus of riding as opposed to chatting once we get out on those country roads. This road here with the 2 lanes, that's a good place to chat. But once you get on the narrow roads, it's time to move. That's Frank up there. So yeah, could I have gone with the higher efforts? Probably, but I probably would have wrecked my fitness, meaning that I would have needed more recovery time. So when you took time off, park your ego at the door and focus on what you need to do to get yourself back, what I call get your form back. And don't let yourself get pushed harder than you need to based on your level of fitness. So I need a few more weeks under my belt before I can start really doing whatever I want. And you can kind of tell, you kind of tell. But I know how to get in shape quickly. I ride more frequently. I do 2-a-day workouts as time permits. Because sometimes it's easier to do an hour in the morning and then an hour in the evening as opposed to trying to do 2 to 3 hours during the week. You may not have that block of time. So there's a lot of variety that you can put together to get yourself in shape, get your volume. But I don't just go slow because I'm out of shape. I do different workouts. But each ride has a purpose. So the purpose of this ride was to trim my fatty acids because I have not been doing anything longer than 2 hours on the bike. And so I needed to do a 3 to 4 hour ride. And that's what this was for me, And it was good to put the group ride because we hadn't scheduled a group ride in a while, an official Veloharmony ride. So I wanted to that's me on the right. I'm pulling off the front and drifting to the back. So So I use the time off to get all my bikes serviced. You know, I'm not the painter that does not paint his own house. You know, I work on my bikes. I hate to go on a ride and have mechanicals. So all my bikes have been, the bottom brackets have been overhauled, re-lubed, headset clean, re-lubed. It's ready for the season. I do that pretty much every spring. I don't like to do it during the winter because, you know, we're going to get rain or whatever else. So once you get through the winter and the weather gets fairer, that's when I service my bike. So now they're ready for the whole season with no issues. So that's what I use the time for. I was really just busy with life. It's not that I just had a very low desire to do long rides. I was busy with other things. I needed to invest time in my business. That's what that was about. I had the opportunity to ride, but I chose to invest the time into, as Mike Barreras says, getting things squared away. I needed to put things in place because the growth of my bike shop has been very robust, and I needed to put things in place to deal with that. And I finally got things to where it's streamlined, you know. But I chose to do that. You know, it's almost like I didn't have the desire to go do long rides because I have so many other things waiting on me, if you know what I mean. Other to-dos. So that's what that was about. So I just kind of took what they call a sabbatical from cycling. So I would ride whenever I got the chance. I would ride here and there. But I did not do the group rides on Saturdays since, I believe, January. I think the last one I did was probably November, I believe. Let's see here. The last group ride we did. It was a while. It was about 2.5 months off the group rides. But I still rode from time to time, just easy, just to clear my head, sort things out. So I do my best thinking on the bike, especially on the easier rides. So I'm sitting at the back right now. Paul has the camera. He's going to keep the camera. He's going to go and complete the filming and everything. And we hooked up after the ride where he dropped off the camera for me. This is Egypt Lane. We're headed north. Trying to get out of town. So during the week, there is a shopping center up the road a little bit where that car is coming from. Those brown buildings, there's a turn. I would point that out. There are a lot of rides that leave from there. Sometimes they have a group called Romeo, Abby, and John. They schedule rides to where this is a new fence on the left. They're building some kind of neighborhood there. They're building, I guess they're going to be houses. It's awfully close to a shopping center, but I don't know. But the pipes are in. You know how they laid the pipes and the electrical connectors and so forth. Everything's in place. They put the streets there. Then they just put this fence up recently. On the left here where the fence ends, that's where during the week there are a lot of rides that leave. There's a fitness project in there. They leave from there and head out different parts of town called the Romeo rides, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so if you have the time and you have rides in your area, it's good to hook up with the group from time to time so they can kind of push you, because you can move a little faster with the group. It's a little easier training in the group. It's harder by yourself, plus you have to be really disciplined to push yourself. But there are times when I prefer to train alone. But I'm mentioning that because don't shy away from group rides, because it's good to have that variety in your cycle. It's a big group. I was very surprised because we have not done a ride. You guys know, those of you who follow the channel. But we're back to doing our regularly scheduled stuff. So maybe in a week or so I will stay all the way to the end, because I rode fairly hard during the week. And then I wanted to take it easier on this ride. Let's do a more distance. So I didn't want to fry myself. In a little bit, somebody had a mechanical back there. So we're going to have to stop. he had his shifting, his indexing is off. So they're pulling off in here because we're behind there.
They get it sorted out.
Basically,
She's not in the
back there.
his barrel adjuster is broken on the back of the rear derailleur, and so the indexing is not dialed in, so the cable is off. So when he thinks he's in gear, he's not. So when he puts load on it, the chain sounds like it's gonna break. It's basically just not tuned. And I kind of suggested that he turn back, but he said, "I got 2 gears that work. I will ride those." And, so he soldiered on until we got to Keenan, and he came back.
Adrian?
Yeah.
I didn't even see Adrian.
Yeah, he's
I think Paul was thinking about another Adrian. The Adrian he's talking about was in the Senate ski. We have several Adrians in the way. This is after we got things sorted out. We're about to turn on Onya Egypt Community Road. So once we turn here, I see people still kind of in the chatting mode, and you can see this road. So rider here waiting for us because we have to wait for Adrian. This is not the road to chat on because the traffic here, even though it's not super heavy, it's moving at a good clip and it's a narrow road. So you really should not be chatting. You see me say, come on. So I'm gonna go to the front. I'm telling John, come on, let's get off this road. So I'm going there to set just the example, like we need to ride.
How are you, my brother? Good?
I'm trying to get everybody to get in a pace line.
Good, man.
So we can get moving. So I'm going to stay at the front for probably about 5 kilometers, about 3 miles. Now, the whole time I'm at the front, I'm basically staying right at the top of my zone 2 because that's really the emphasis of this ride. I don't want to, you end up going a little over with the group, but that's my focus. So I just want to get the group going. Now you see everybody's kind of lining up. That's what I want. That's the reason I went up there. Because ordinarily I would just sit in the back. But I wanted them to get busy riding. We don't want to chat here. We want to put our heads down. And when we get in the neighborhoods, then we can spread out and chat. And I hope you do the same thing. On the busier roads, when you focus like that, the other road users appreciate it because you're not goofing off and impeding them. You're doing the best you can to be moving. They can see that. And that's the idea. We're setting the example here. So I'm keeping it at between 18 to 20 miles an hour. That's the goal. The road goes up a little bit. I downshift and spin up. You're looking at Paul's stats. I mean, his cadence and everything. I'm up there basically trying to just hold a steady pace so we can get into the neighborhood. It's a big group. And, this road, you get a car maybe, early Saturday morning, I would say, probably every now and then, maybe every 2 to 3 minutes, you might get a car here and there. It's not, they're not super heavy in the morning. And these roads here, we use them during the week too. But whenever I'm on these kind of roads, I want to feel good. We got a car going by. But he sees that we're down to the business of riding. The terrain here is favorable. It's like flat to a little descent. So the speeds go up, but the effort is the same. So I'm keeping it right at our steady endurance pace. So the whole time I was off, I'd take a ride here and there, go out on a Tuesday, then wouldn't ride for Wednesday and Thursday, get busy with other stuff, then maybe sneak out, do a small ride on Friday. I didn't really have the desire to get up on a Saturday to go do those group rides. I was spending my time on other things. But I did not take off the entire time and not do any physical activity. So if you have to be off, let's say you're traveling, try to find a hotel. Those of you who are working and you travel, find a hotel that has stationary bikes or a pool or someplace where you can go walking. Just get your body moving. or a weight room, you can strengthen your legs. Because I used to do that when I traveled a lot. I would do a lot of weights, and then on the weekend, you'd be able to carry the larger gears. So I do my strength work on the bike using larger gears and terrain. Because I like to do the specific cycling stuff so I don't carry any bulk. But as long as you're active, it doesn't take you very long to get into cycling specific shape. Now, of course, you're gonna have to focus to really get to the top levels. You know, so it'll probably take me maybe 3 or 4 weeks to really start firing, you know, the way I used to. So, but I'm more motivated now that I've invested the time in getting things squared away, so I don't feel like I was letting things go. I needed to take a break from the group rides and all the time invested in filming. I'm still pulling right here. I'm just keeping it steady, just to get us going. So before we got to Keenan, and I don't know if Paul will show that in the film, I believe he was in front of me in the pace line. There's a stretch when we go through the neighborhood, a succession of hills near one called Linda's Place. They were just surging too much, so I waved riders up and kept my effort steady. And then we all got to the exit gate at about the same time. So I was focused on keeping my effort steady. Because I have my own training plan. I know how to get myself in shape. You can't rush it. You gotta let your form come, as they say across the pond. You gotta do the work, and your form will come. You gotta do the work. So right now, I'm motivated, and I'm back to my regular training schedule. So we'll be mixing it up on Saturdays. So next week I will ride maybe at 8 anaerobic threshold effort with the group and hang with them more, because that's my plan. Because this was my 3rd week on the bike consistently. So next week will be like a month consistently. So I've pulled off. So I didn't take off 2.5 months and come pull this group. No, I've been riding, spotty training, but I've been riding, been doing other things and ride. So it's important to know that. If you take off a complete block, then you're gonna have to back off and start with solo rides by yourself and a slower group. I mean, everybody here knows I have not been on the rides, but I did not spend too much time. I didn't tell anybody, oh, I wasn't riding. I think Mike S5, one of the riders, asked me, have you been riding? I said, yeah, I've been riding, which I have been. How much I've been riding varies, but yes. So I don't like to come and say, oh, I haven't been riding, so take it easy. No, I'm not going to slow the group down for me, no. I need to ride up to them. I can do this, but then if I had done it, this was my 3rd week. If I had done that, it would have set back my training. So by week 4 or 5, I should feel better to where I can just sit in and spin more. And then you got to listen to your body. I think he's blowing his nose. So I hope this helps, this narration, because every now and then there are times when you can't ride. You're not going to make up anything you missed. So you just want to focus on getting into your program, riding when you can, and listen to your body, and make sure you recover. You've got to make sure that whatever workload you're putting in, you recover, because the training is not just riding, it's the rest. It's when you rest is when you get stronger. So if you don't get enough rest, you will plateau. So Frank pulls off the front. I'm probably a couple of riders behind Paulie Longa. When I pulled off, I waited for an opening in the group to slip in, and so I'm just sitting in. So my goal was to get about 4 to 5 hours in on this ride. I got about 5.5 hours, so it was really, really good. I accomplished my goal for the day. We're moving at a good clip here, about 22, 23 miles an hour. And this road is not flat. Everything, if you look at it visually, everything's just going up. Once we head north, everything's going up. That's why I got to the front early to get us moving. Otherwise, these guys will be chatting and this and that. This is not the road. I wanted us in a line, get to the neighborhood, and then they can chill because you know it's quieter. So when I'm on these kind of roads, I got my head down. Even if I'm doing 16, 18 miles an hour, I'm riding instead of, you know, sightseeing. You got to be moving and you got to be predictable. You got to hold your line so that other road users can make decisions on how to get around you or when to get around you. There are times when you have to take over the lane when it's not safe for them to pass. And I use hand signals and I let them know, especially when I ride solo. I communicate with all the road users and they appreciate it. Because a lot of cyclists, they don't know where the cars are, and the drivers don't really know what cyclists are doing sometimes. So they back way off sometimes. And so it helps when you let them know what you're doing. You signal your turns and so forth. That's important, especially when you ride solo. You're gonna be turning, let them know, check. And you're gonna be turning left, let them know you need to get in that lane. I mean, on this ride when I was coming back home, around noon, it was very crowded in the woodlands. So I needed to get from the shoulder to the center turn lane. And I communicated with the drivers and they backed off and let me in. So you just gotta, you know, keep your wits about and communicate. What they call trafficate your intentions. You're going left, point left. You're going right, point right. Even for drivers in front of you that are pulling out, let's say at an intersection, if they're pulling out and you're approaching the intersection and they stop, if I'm turning, I point right to let them know I'm turning. I keep my arm pointed right. So if there's no car behind me, they can go ahead and turn and go if they're going right. That helps them make a decision too, if they know that you're turning. Or even if they're coming across the road, I let them know I'm turning right. So you don't need to wait for me, that kind of stuff. So this is the neighborhood. The gate over there starts to close. So Paul and I slip through on this side. I see him going through and I'm right behind him. And there's a car coming, so we stay to the left here. That's the exit gate. So whenever you go through the exit at a place like this, you don't have the right of way. You gotta have to get out of the way. So he's gonna slow down here and wait for the group. I'm just gonna keep rolling. Just keep my legs turning. I'm right up there. So we're using his stats. You can see he's coasting. That's why he says 0 RPM. But the thing is that the software that we use to synchronize, there is a problem with the map that we use to keep things in sync. There's something with the API that Garmin is supposed to pay Google for because they use Google Maps. And so that feature recently got turned off by Google because Garmin was supposed to pay some kind of fee. And so they're trying to deal with it. So hopefully they'll get it sorted. So the accuracy is hampered a little bit, but it's still okay.
It's warming up nicely though.
So they're chatting here because I'm sitting up there. I looked in my mirror and I saw they were way back there. I was like,
Hey, how are you, man?
There's a little bit of a hiatus here before they turn it back on. I love coming through the neighborhoods. It's nice and challenging and it's quiet. There's a lot of lumps in here from in both directions. I like coming through here. But this is where you can chat. It's quiet, very low volume of traffic, low speed as well. This is when you guys can visit and so forth. And you get on the busier farm road, even the secondary roads, you don't want to be chatting. Get to the business of riding. This is a subdivision we're riding through, so yeah. This is when you can do a double pace line and catch up. I see them coming, so I drift to the right. There's a speed bump coming. That's what Frank is motioning. The speed bumps to slow people down. So they go by and they lift the pace. I just watch to see who else will go, and then I'm just going to slip to the back. It's El Pirata up there, the pirate, Laura. She's following someone. I don't know who's leading. Oh, is she leading? That looks like John. Yeah, Laura's leading. Laura's on the right. And then John Z is on the left, pushing a big gear as usual. And then, so there's two Johns. This is John on the right, Clement Champoussin from the IKEA Semsek team on the right. And Laura is pulling, and then John Z's on the left. So it was good to be back in the bunch. You know, I've been riding solo for so long. The whole time I was off, you know, from time to time. Just get on the bike, head out, spin, nothing crazy. So it was good to get out here and do a longer ride. Finally got a block of time to put into cycling. So look at Laura's cadence versus John's cadence. Different styles. Laura's cadence is more sustainable because she's really saving her legs. So you got to practice that, you know. And it's okay what John is doing, but as the terrain gets tougher, he's going to have to either downshift or his legs are going to get tired. See, he's pulling off. He needs a break. And Laura looks like she could do that longer. So John's going to go to the left and sit in front of Laura. And I think John did that because Paul has a camera. And so John knows. So Paul wants something to film. Paul doesn't want to sit there and film the road. Road's going downhill. That's why it speeds up. Look at that bird up there. I don't know if you can see it from the top of the sky. It's a big, big bird. In the distance there, when the lumps are going to come up, you can see it. It's going to kick up, level off, then turn right. The road's starting to kick up a little bit. Laura's pulling off the front. the guy on the right is half-wheeling John. That's what we call half-wheeling. And once you do that, if John is feeling good, he's going to accelerate and you accelerate. So it's like, if you're riding in a pace line, don't do that. Just line up the wheels. Unless you're attacking the group, there's no point in you half-wheeling the rider. Yeah, that's John good. That's what I would do. I'll pull off. So in cycling speak, it's kind of rude to half-wheel the rider you're riding side by side with. Keep the wheels lined up. If you're attacking, then you attack. But if you're riding in a double pace line, keep the wheels lined up. Because half-wheeling is not cool. Because both of you continue to accelerate before you know it, you're going full gas. And a lot of riders, if they don't want to go harder and they're experienced, they'll just pull off the front and leave you there. And that messes up the pace line. So group riding requires a lot of consideration. You're riding with people, you're not riding by yourself. This is what I'm talking about. It's all of that. You're not riding with it. What are you looking back for? You're not riding with the group. That's what I'm talking about. Group riding skills have to be cautiously developed. Because seasoned riders can see that and they're like, what is that about? Because you're not breaking away, you're not attacking, you're not, so what are you doing? What are all those gaps for? If you're going to pull the group, pull the group. Nobody is impressed. You want to impress people, go to a USCF race, pay your money. Everybody's there to race. If you come to ride with people, ride with them. Paul's just watching them, they're wasting energy and all that. It's like, you're supposed to stay smooth, let this guy sit on your wheel. So then when you're done, he's been in shelter and he can take a pull. But you've been gapping him, so he's fighting the wind. So why should he go through? If it were me, I'd just sit on you. I wouldn't go through. Then when you pull off, I'd back off the pace. Because you're not giving me any shelter. And that's the thing, though. I don't mind what he's doing, but what I'm trying to explain is that in this narration is, when you're riding with the group, now he's waving him through. Why should he go through? You didn't give him shelter. You gapped him a couple of times. So he might as well have been riding alone. That's my point I'm making. So if you're riding with people, when you're at the front, it is your responsibility to make sure they're in shelter. You guys see the pros, when they're riding in the wind, they look for that team leader and they put him in shelter and protect him. It's the same thing in a group. If you want that guy behind you to take his turn, then when you're there, make sure he's got a draft. If you're going to attack him and gap him, why should he take a turn? It's somewhere around here, maybe probably further up, where I pulled out of the line and waved people up and just kind of held my pace steady. Instead of all the surging and all that, I didn't want to do that. That's a speed bump. Whatever he's doing here is clear that it's not sustainable. I don't know why people feel the need to do that. Back it off a bit and stay within yourself. I mean, he's straining. You can tell he's looking for power. So if you know, take a short pull, get off, and go back in the bunch. You let your form come. You don't need to force it all the time. It's more enjoyable if you're not always overreaching. That's a big group. You don't need to sit up there that long. Pull off. Remember that. Save it, because later on you might need that energy that you expend. It's still early in the ride. That's the key with riding in a group. You have to conserve, even in a race. conserve till it matters. No point sprinting before the finish line. Unless you're sprinting for preems. Yeah, they're getting excited. The road goes uphill here. And so I see somebody roll around Paulie Longa. So I like to go very easy when I ride, and I go hard when necessary. I don't do a lot of middle training. I don't do zone 3 training. I go through zone 3 when I'm going hard. But when I'm riding easy, I keep it 2 or lower. The gate is closed. There's a car there, I believe. Okay, so Paul must have turned the camera off at the gate. At this point, I think I let them go. I don't know where this is Keenan Cut-Off. I let the group go. I backed off. There were a few riders behind me, but they were going slower than my endurance pace. The group was going faster than I wanted to go. So I really didn't want to wait for those other guys. I just rode by myself. So at this point, Laura is pulling on Keenan Cut-Off. They're headed towards Highway 149. The route is going to take us on Spring Branch Road. You see how Laura is steady? Look at Laura's body language versus the guy in white that I was talking about, like he was overreaching. You can see that she's within herself. Her shoulders are not rocking or anything, just her legs. So it's okay to push yourself from time to time, but when you're pulling the group, don't feel like you gotta dig too deep. Do a little bit of work and get off the front. You'll get a chance to work again. Let your form come. It's more enjoyable than trying to always force it. You'll get plenty of chance of forcing when you're hanging on to some faster rider later on in the ride. There's no point in you going to the front, taking a pull, and pushing yourself into the red while you're taking a pull. You might as well save it for when you need to hang on. That's the point I was making. Because if you go to the front, stay there a long time and push too hard, what if somebody else goes faster? Then you get dropped. You could have used that energy to stay. That's the thing. So this is a good clip on this road, 22, 23 miles an hour. This road is not flat. You can see it visually. It's lumpy. It's moderately lumpy, but it's got a few what I call kickers. You know, they come up thick and fast. Then it goes downhill before you get to 149. I think this is a section where it starts to level off a bit. The speeds will pick up. It's going downhill. So Laura is keeping it steady here. She's not really surging. She's just riding. good levels off here, and the distance is gonna curve. But the terrain has these slight little bumps. They're gonna vary a little bit. I don't think she's doing 13 kilometers an hour. Something's wrong with the stats here. That's because the sync, I could not get the sync perfect because of the problem with the map that Garmin and Google got to work out. We couldn't see it. They're probably doing about 20 to 21 miles an hour, which is about 32K. Yeah, now that's more realistic. Laura's pulling off. Laura's going to roll through. They're approaching 149. Paul's standing right there, and then he sat back down. And the option, there was an option to stop at the store on the left, but we only have one official stop on this ride.
Are we stopping or are we going?
We're going.
So they're gonna keep going. But you know, I didn't think we would need to stop it, but sometimes people need a health break. So this is 149. That's gonna take us to Spring Branch Road. Busy road. A small shoulder, but we're only on it for maybe a mile, if that. 1.6 kilometers. Falls on the shoulder. I like coming on this route, especially during the week. This is a 5-hour loop, so if I can get up early enough, I can get here and back by 10 in the morning. Just in time to go to work. You know, so. The FM 149, Highway 149. It's not a farm to market road. It's a regular state highway. This point in the ride, I got to the corner, I could see them up here. I decided not to wait for the other people that back there because I couldn't see them. I don't know if they turned around or whatever, but so I just continued. So I kept my pace between 16 to 18 miles an hour most of the ride. The road goes uphill. I just see Paul working. It goes uphill and then it will level off before the turn. There's a turn coming. Spring Branch Road. It's a good shot. The thing with some of these groups is like, hey, slow down, come on through. Nobody wants to go to the front. Everybody wants to sit in the back. Everybody can't be in the back. Now he's got to wave them through. Come on through. it's like nobody wants to pull. Everyone cannot follow. Get through, take a shortcut, get off. He's waiting for them to come through. Now everybody's sitting back there waiting for what? I don't know. Let's go. Keep the line going. That's what we're talking about. Keep the line going. Keep it steady. When you watch the pro riders, whether it's here in the U.S. or overseas, when these guys are riding, there's none of this foolishness. You turn and you keep it going. Just go. Steady, steady, steady like a train. They're smooth, they're predictable, so the other road users know, oh yeah, I can pass these guys because they're holding their lines, you know. This is the thing that's funny. Paul just got through pulling. Those guys went by. The guy in the blue should have been on that wheel. He's drifting off now. He's gonna speed up to come back. I see that a lot in our group rides here, and it just doesn't make sense. If you're going to ride with them anyway, don't let them ride off, then chase back on their wheel. Get on the wheel as it comes by, unless you're done with them. Can I tell you how many times we see that end up with all these gaps? Then you have these surges because you got to surge now to get to the group. Because the group didn't attack you, people just let gaps open. It probably happens where you ride. You know, you make up your mind. If you're going to ride with a group, then stay on the wheels. Otherwise, let them go. But you end up with 5 to 7 riders always near the front. And you get the rest of the people just want to sit in the back the whole ride. Come on. Roll through and then go back to the back. Because when I'm riding, as soon as I see a gap, I jump on it. So I don't wait. I don't have to be the last rider after I pull. Wherever there's a gap, I'm going to get in there. Because sometimes the further back you are, the harder you have to work when people leave gaps. You got to surge up to where the action is. And sometimes you can miss the action being way back there. If you feel like working hard, you need to stay close to the fastest riders in your group. That will give you the opportunity to go with movement. There are a couple of dogs on this route, not here. When I was riding, there are a couple of areas where the road called Martin Luther King Boulevard, the black dog there. I had to stop and chastise him. I told him, I said, it's rude. It's like he leaves his yard and runs onto the road to chase me. And he comes behind you, so all you hear are his claws on the pavement. It startles you because you're not expecting it. So I just stopped and I told him, man, that's really rude. Stay in your yard. Then he looks at me and grumbled and went back. Like, you don't own the road. You got no business coming out on the road to chase me. Oh, man. And you have to be careful because he was coming at speed and trying to get in front of me. So I stopped because I didn't want him to take out my front wheel. You know, that definitely causes you to fall. So, yeah. I mean, had I seen him earlier, I probably would have kicked it and, you know, ridden away. But once he got between my pedal and my front wheel, I had to be careful and make sure he didn't cross my path because that's what he was heading, right in my path. But then once I stopped, he backed off. So I told her, I said, that's rude. I told my daughter about it when I got home. She said I was crazy. I said, oh, nah. Dogs, they know. Yeah, they have enough sense. So you can't be coming out on the road and be chasing people. That's rude. Behave yourself. Stay in your yard. Blame the owners. They need to restrain their dogs. There was another pit bull on the same route on Bailey Grove. Same guy been chasing us before. All of a sudden he appeared. It's been a while since I'd been out there. I hadn't seen him. I thought they had moved. I scolded him too and he took off. Dogs. As soon as you talk, they're startled. So this is the 9% climb. Everybody's getting excited. I don't know who's up there. Somebody snuck away, I think. Now you see how Laura got low. That's how Laura climbs. She climbs like Pantani. she got real low to put the power down. But she's very efficient. She's not wasting energy because you've got about 10 kilometers on this road of lumps. So whoever's up there, they ain't going anywhere. They won't get reeled in. I'm not sure how they got off the front anyway. They're freewheeling. So that was just an interval as opposed to sustaining. And then somebody should launch a second attack. We're gonna do more of this in a few weeks, in the future weeks. When they do nonsense like that, you come by, you counter attack. So they have to burn more matches. Don't come by smoothly. Launch an attack if you have something in your legs. Because all they did was an interval up the hill, then it sat up. Do that crap when you're riding solo. So it's going to get interesting in the next few weeks. I'm not going to say anything. We want to talk with our legs. So 22, 23 miles an hour rolling here. 15 Celsius. It's about 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Just fabulous weather, a pleasant day, clear, fair day. Because all days are pleasant. This one's just a fair day. No inclement weather to deal with. I kind of like the rain myself. It's kind of strange, but I like rainy days. Nobody's out. The roads are clear. Levels off here, and a little bit is going to go down, then it's going to kick up in the distance. So just on this one ride, I've seen Laura take, let's say, 3 poles. We have a lot of people in this group. Laura took poles, Paulie Longa, Frank. I've seen Frank at the front. It's always the case. You get a handful of rider pulling, the rest of them just want to follow. And wait for the final sprint. You know, that's foolishness. In a bike race, nobody's going to tow you around for 50 miles. They're going to attack you. The road goes up. So you got to put down some watts. So it's leveling off then. At this point, I'm on Spring Branch Road as well, but I can't see these guys. they're gone. They're not within view. Slightly downhill here. And this entire stretch is a nice segment. So a lot of times when you come through here, it'll show up. It's a Strava segment that somebody registered. This part kicks up a little bit. It's a slight grade, 1 to 2%. Paul doesn't stay up here long because the rest, there's like 10 or 15 guys back there. Come on, Joe. John, yeah, same guy, John again. So you got a handful of people leading. Versus people want to just follow with. You do that in a race, they will attack you and drop you. Ain't nobody gonna be towing you all day long. You gotta come through. Everybody needs to come through the line. I don't understand what kind of riding, these guys are doing. We had a bunch of riders visiting our ride, but that's not, you got to come through and get your nose in the wind. You just have 3 or 4 people pulling the group the whole day. A lot of experienced riders, you do stuff like that, what they will do, the strongest riders will just creep off the front and gap the people sitting in the back. So they have to work if they want to ride with them. Finally got somebody else coming up there. Now look at what he's doing. He's gapping John as opposed to working with John. So John had to lift his pace to get up on his wheel. That's fine. In a road race, you see a lot of that. The problem with that is what people don't understand. The teams are sending certain members to go up there to force the pace, to weaken other riders. So if you get to the front, you can't hold the pace, then you need to make sure you don't stay up there too long, because what these guys are doing is not very sustainable. They'll get up there for 30 seconds or so, then they pull off. Well, the other riders who've been pulling for minutes on end, they don't get an opportunity to get into a rhythm. You know, I'm sure it pushes them, but it's like if you're only gonna be up there for 30 seconds, man, it's like that's okay if the pace is really high. You don't have to sit up there too long. And the guy on the left, that's Roy. He's attacking the climb. He's not really helping the group. They do these little 10, 15 second intervals. There's a stop sign there. So anyway, I hope you got a chance to get out this weekend, but this is part of what we did on Saturday. Remember, get your Cajun and keep all the doctors fired.